The over-under on BYU football players being taken in this weekend's NFL draft are 2.5 in my mind. What are the chances BYU goes over that number? We're talking about it on today's show.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Hatch, your host here on Locked On Cougars, your resident BYU insider. Thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Appreciate all of you for being everydayers with us right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. The motto is your team every day, and as such, this is your original daily podcast focused on all things BYU sports. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Monopoly Go. Of course, all of us have a competitive side, and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I can promise you that. The mobile hit twist on the classic Monopoly game, so join your friends and download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. All right, the NFL draft rolls on tonight and through tomorrow with rounds 2 and 3 tonight, rounds 4 through 7 tomorrow. And the biggest thing for me, as I said in the open of today's show, is I believe the over-under figure for BYU players being taken in this year's draft are 2.5. Where do I stand on that side of it? I'm going to say we just hit the under, but just barely. I think there are going to be two guys taken in this year's draft. Kingsley Suamataia, he is a consensus draft pick. The other one that I believe is going to be drafted for BYU and might be a little bit of a surprise for most of you is that Rehkow, I think, is the only other guy who ultimately hears his name called this weekend when it comes to the NFL draft. I think that he has absolutely thrilled people with his monster leg. The NFL is all about having guys who can flip the field, and that's what Ryan did routinely for BYU. At times, frankly, he actually outkicked the coverage quite literally and hurt himself with his overall net punting average during his time at BYU. But NFL teams like his size, they like his strength, and they like his overall big leg and the ability, like I said, to really boot it. And when you have a situation where you're caught behind the chains, he can absolutely help a defense out by pinning an opponent back, and that's going to benefit him. And I believe that he will be a late-round pick of an NFL team who doesn't want to see their chances of adding him to their roster go up in smoke. So I say that those two are going to be drafted, but that does not mean that they can't go over that 2.5 mark that I said. It's the lines by Jake Hatch mark. I'm not saying that's any official number from anybody other than myself. The only other player I believe that could hear his name called, and it's because guys like Mel Kiper are saying that it very much could be that case, is Kedon Slovis. Now, Kedon Slovis is a curious case because of all of the football he has played at the collegiate level. In fact, what has he played? He's over 10,000 passing yards. He's played for 3 different programs, all of them at Power 5 football level. A guy who understands the game inside and out and has played in multiple systems during his college career. That are going to be things that NFL teams look at and say that's valuable to us as a late-round pick coming in. Because of the versatility of what Kedon, A, understands, B, can produce, and also C, what he can offer to an NFL team. I've said this before on this podcast. I'll say it again, is that the Brock Purdy effect is very much a real thing now in the NFL. NFL teams value finding starting caliber, if not star players at the back end of the draft that can come in, work for minimum wage, seemingly, when it comes to the NFL ranks. And let's be honest, $700,000 or whatever a seventh round pick makes, like a guy like Brock Purdy's making, is not chump change. Let's be very clear about that. By NFL standards, that is a minuscule contract. And if you can find starting caliber guys, or at least contributors for your franchise at that level, that is when NFL teams are going to be jumping up and down. And the Brock Purdy find for the San Francisco 49ers at the tail end, the very end of the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, last pick of the draft, that is what every team dreams of having happen to them. And that's why Kedon Slovis could find his name being called at the tail end of this draft. Could he slide as high as the 6th round, which Mel Kiper was saying a couple weeks ago as an opportunity for him? Yes, that could happen because, like I said, there are going to be teams who are going to be scrutinizing these quarterbacks at the back end of the draft, saying, okay, what do these guys have that we've not seen come out of them quite yet? Because Brock Purdy, a lot of people thought he was what he was coming out of Iowa State. And there are things about Brock that are absolutely things that were on film from him at the collegiate level. Other things that showed up, well, his grit, his tenacity, the fact that he didn't cower under pressure at the NFL level. He just goes out there and does his thing. He embraced the moment. There's a mental makeup that quarterbacks have to have, especially at the NFL level. They've got to be able to rise to the occasion. So that is why you're going to see, I think, some extra quarterbacks taken at the end of this draft that may otherwise in other years may have been essentially said, okay, that's an undrafted free agent. We'll negotiate with his agent once this thing wraps up. Do I think that Kedon gets taken? I've still got a hard time believing it due to some of the injury history and whatnot. But if he is going to be taken, he can thank Brock Purdy for that because of the effect that Brock Purdy has had on the NFL. It's incredible to think that one guy being taken at the end of one draft, who has now led his team to a Super Bowl appearance, can have that kind of trickle-down effect on the rest of the league. But the NFL is a copycat league. It absolutely is a league that likes to copy one another. And every team, I'm telling you, every team would rather pay their quarterback $700 and whatever $1,000. I know that Brock also made like another $800,000 or $900,000 in bonus pay that pushed him to like $1.5 million. But if you have to get away with a $1.5 million salary versus paying some of these quarterbacks that are going to be making $50 million annually, yeah, which one do you think an NFL team wants more of? They want more of the Brock Purdy's because it's nothing against those high-level quarterbacks, and NFL teams are willing to pay for them. But if they don't have to pay for them for 3 or 4 years at the start of their career, guess what that opportunity exists for you to do with the rest of your roster? You can upgrade in other spots that you may not otherwise be able to upgrade, and you can offer bigger salaries to guys in the short term until you have to pay that quarterback. Brock Purdy is going to cash in. He's going to get his in the relatively near future. We're talking the next year. He will get a monster payday from the San Francisco 49ers. The hope is that NFL teams will find value in other quarterbacks. And once again, that is where it's going to benefit a guy like a Kedon Slovis. Could there be another surprise pick for BYU coming out of this draft? Could a team fall in love with a guy like Max Tooley? Could they fall in love with Aiden Robbins and decide that, you know what, we're better suited to but to take them via the draft rather than negotiate with other teams for undrafted free agent rights to them? Yes, that is absolutely a possibility. I just don't see that happen. I think the age factor for a guy like Max Tooley is going to knock him into that undrafted free agent territory. Aiden Robbins, it's just a simple fact he's not had a ton of production outside of just one season, the one season he had at UNLV, that he's actually been healthy. When he has been healthy, he's been electric, but the problem is there is too many times in his career, the other 4 of the 4 years he played in college, really 3 of them really kind of stop-start, not necessarily a ton of production. The one big year he had at UNLV will be what NFL teams think, okay, can we get that out of him? Can he be that consistent type back in that position? But I just don't think that the production is going to meet what NFL teams want in terms of spending a draft pick on him. But it's a crazy time. And all it takes is one team to fall in love with one of these guys and take them with a draft pick, and then you can go crow about it if you're BYU on the recruiting trail. But it'll be an interesting weekend, obviously. I am out of town. I'm recording this actually before I leave town. I'll be down in southern Utah, so if you happen to be in the St. George area, hit me up. But nonetheless, we'll be back on Monday. I'll probably get to it late Monday when I get back in town with a recap of the draft, and I'm hoping that I'm wrong about the 2.5 over-under for BYU players being taken in this year's draft, because I'm saying that they're going to go under. I think there are 2 guys taken, Kingsley Suamataia and Ryan Rehkow, but I would love nothing more than to see Kedon Slovis and or some other name from BYU's draft class taken and prove me wrong, but we'll see where it ultimately stands when we get to Monday. All right, that's going to do it for that as we talk about the NFL draft. Coming up next, we're going to stick with the BYU football theme. I had a great chat with Jack Kelly at the end of BYU spring ball, a lot about what he's accomplished so far at BYU, what he already understands about Jay Hill's defense having played in it at Weber State, and also what he hopes to accomplish during his time with the Cougars. We'll get to all that next as we roll on right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at eBay. Not eBay Motors, but I should say eBay Motors is what's bringing us this passion driving patience. Of course, my friends, the formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. They got everything from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. There's no problem there, my friends, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts that you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. It's eligible items only, exclusions apply, and eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. But once again, get started today at ebaymotors.com. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen today. Are you sick of watching ESPN and Fox Sports on your TV all day and having to turn on that volume with all the shouting going on from all the talking heads as they quote-unquote embrace debate? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories about all the screaming going on the other networks. Brings you all the can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Of course, it is your team every day. All right. Had a great opportunity to catch up at the end of spring ball with Jack Kelly. We had a great chat about all these accomplished so far in his college career and what he hopes to accomplish as his career plays out at BYU. What are the chances he goes one and done at BYU and enters next year's NFL draft? I think it would take a pretty incredible season for him to do it, but he has got that talent. He's got that moxie. He's got that grit and tenacity. He's got all those superlatives that NFL teams love to hear about, guys. But if he can put the production on the field at the Power 5 level that he put on the field at the FCS Big Sky level for last year for Weber State, guess what? NFL teams are going to say, okay, it translated over. He jumped 2 levels of football. He went from the FCS ranks, bypassed the G5, and went straight to the Power 4 ranks now. And if he can produce that same type of stuff, well, I'm not going to say that he can't go one and done at BYU, but I would hope that it plays out where he has maybe 2 seasons and really thrills BYU fans. But I had a great chat with him to talk about all he's accomplished to this point and what he hopes to accomplish going forward. Without further ado, here you go, Jack Kelly talking with myself right here on Locked On Cougars.
You're transferring to the program, and this is kind of your first extensive action with BYU. How do you feel things have gone?
Really well. It's been a great transition over here. The same defense is being ran, so I've known the playbook since I got over here, so that's been awesome. It's also been cool to learn the little tweaks that we have and the new plays, so it's been a great transition.
I remember talking to Eddie Heckard last year. I also did the same thing with Camden a little later on, and they were like, it's like feeling like I'm doing this exact same thing. I'm just in a different uniform, essentially. Do you feel similar?
Yeah, it's the exact same role. Like, I'm playing a little bit of a different position in some of our packages, but overall I knew that at Weber, and I've known the defense for a while now, so it's been, like you said, same playbook in the new uniform.
It's kind of the rare circumstance that you as a transfer coming in probably know the playbook better than some of the guys who have been on the team and probably even played a year last year in it. Do you feel that you've been able to come in and kind of be a leader in that sense, though?
Yes, for sure. I've been able to help them. They've also been able to help me out. So it's been a good bond with the older guys here and being able to teach the younger guys and help them understand the playbook as well as we can.
Now, you were an absolute star last year at Weber. Like, I've used the terminology with myself that you were the Kyle Van Noy of Weber State last year.
I appreciate it.
And I don't say that pejoratively because the impact was similar.
Yeah.
What caused you to say, you know what, I'm going to pass on continuing to do that there. I want to take a step at the next level. What caused you to jump in the portal?
Really just believing in myself. I feel like I could play at the FBS level.
Okay.
I think that if I can have a similar year like that in the Big 12, it's going to help my chances at the NFL. And that's my ultimate goal, is to make it to the NFL. So really just betting on myself and believing I can do it over here as well.
So, it sounds like I'm talking to Eddie and Camden all over because they say the exact same thing. Like, we felt like we had done what we needed to do, and we wanted to kind of take the next step and prove ourselves.
Yes, sir. That's exactly how I feel.
Now, I remember your story about the recruiting. You were kind of one of the I call them COVID casualties. That 2020 season got all messed up. Do you feel like it's almost a vindication in a way that you're finally getting your chance now at the quote-unquote big time?
Yeah, in a way. Obviously, coming out of high school, I felt like I could play at that level, but I was grateful for the opportunity I had at Weber. So grateful that I'm here now, so that I can hopefully prove myself right from high school and compete at this level.
Now, you talk about your role changing a little bit here. Is it mainly that you're playing more of a traditional linebacker role? What's changed?
I'm playing more of outside backer, so I'm in the field more, a little more covering, but it's been awesome. I love it in the outside.
Do you feel like that this is maybe something that you haven't shown previously, you'd like to show a little bit more, is your ability to play in the field? Yeah.
I think my speed is going to be really good for that, to be able to drop into coverage and match receivers, so I think that's going to be awesome to show on film.
We talked to Jay, and he talked about it. He was saying, we've used him a lot at linebacker. We haven't really worked a lot of the pass rush side of it. Do you feel like in some ways that's because you already know what you're doing on that side of it, and that just, hey, when we get to it, we'll get to it?
Well, actually, he hasn't been working on a lot of it in team, but we have a coach, Chad. He's an amazing pass rush coach, and we've been working with him every day. So he's been teaching me a lot of things that I was unaware of, and that's been able to be put into my tool bag. But like Coach Hill said, I'm being used in the cover skills more, so that's been awesome to be able to learn that as well.
But you will bring the pass rush at some point.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now, you talk about Coach Coach K.
Yeah.
It's hard to say his name.
Yeah, for sure.
He's got an extensive resume.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know about his resume coming into BYU?
When I was on my visit, I met him, and he told me all the guys that he put in the NFL, a lot of the guys like the Latu guy right now going into the draft.
Latu, yeah.
Yep, he had like 15 or something sacks. So he's got some guys that have been proved, and I'm excited to hopefully use his tools to my advantage.
What excites you most about playing in this defense under Jay Hill?
I think the ability to show my athleticism. I can do a little bit of everything, play in the box, play outside the box, cover tight ends, rush off the edge. So it's kind of an all-around everything linebacker play, and I think I can utilize that to my abilities.
Now, you haven't played in a Big 12 game, but this is the second year of the Big 12 for the program. What have you heard from your teammates about what they learned from year one versus going into this season?
Talking to Eddie and Cam, they told me it's not that big of a difference. Obviously, there's some things a little more physical, a little more speed, but they're like, at the end of the day, it's still the same kind of football. It's the powers. You're going to see the same type of plays, and so I'm excited to see how I do, and think it shouldn't be that big of a change.
What's the BYU experience been like overall for you so far?
It's been awesome. Everyone's super welcoming, family culture. Everyone's super juiced all the time, super hyper. I love that.
Okay.
In the weight room, everyone pushing each other. So it's been awesome.
I was talking to Chase Roberts, and he talked about Coach Phyllis, and he said that because we've heard seeing you in spring, like when the defense makes a play, you guys are going hog wild for the defense, and then the offense is doing the same thing when their guys make a play. And he said that comes from Coach Phyllis and the strength set. They kind of set the tone for that. Is that what caused that?
Yeah. From a lot of the guys from last year, they said that Coach Phyllis has been on a different energy wave this year, and it's been awesome to see that. They're always running up and down the sidelines like, bring juice. So really it's starting from them, and that's been awesome to see from them to kind of help us bring the juice all the time.
We talked about you being a leader a little earlier on. Are you a leader that does it more by example, or are you a guy who likes to speak out?
More by example. Okay. I'm trying to become more of a vocal leader, but they always say like the best way to lead is by example. You can't really trust someone who doesn't do it and they try to talk about it. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to prove myself and help the guys understand that I'm going to be doing what I'm saying I'm going to be doing.
Lead from the front versus push from the back, right?
Exactly.
Last thing for me, what is the roadmap to your, I guess this is the off season, quote unquote, but like what's the next 3 to 4 months ahead of training camp? What are you going to be doing?
Obviously working with our strength staff downstairs, but I'm also going to be training at Total Athlete Training. Mm-hmm. It's a great place in Riverton that works on speed, strength. They're going to be doing everything that I'm going to need. And also lean out a little bit. Okay. I want to try to lean down and then build some muscle back up. That's what I'm looking forward to.
So what's the goal weight? I go with lean down. What are we at right now versus what we want to be?
So I'm at like 240, 241 right now. Coaches want me around there, but I want to try to like lean out to like 233 and then try to build muscle back up to like 237, 240.
The Greek god. That's
what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
Well, Jack, thanks for the time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
There you go, Jack Kelly, BYU linebacker / edge rusher, and I'm hoping that he gets more of an opportunity. As you kind of mentioned, he hasn't necessarily worked a lot at edge rusher for BYU, but his talent is undeniable at getting after the quarterback, and I think there will be special packages designed in Jay Hill's defense that when they need a guy to get after the quarterback, watch for Jack Kelly coming off the edge, number 17, going after that quarterback, because he did it at the FCS level, and I'm hopeful that he can do that for BYU and bolster that pass rush this year for BYU, because if they don't bolster the pass rush, well, guess what? It's going to be another long year in Cougar Nation, and I hope that we can avoid that at all costs. But once again, a big thank you to Jack, and I think he's very much a guy you'll want to watch play out this year for BYU and show out, hopefully as well. Because like I said, I'm not saying he can't go one and done for BYU and enter next year's NFL draft, but it would take a pretty incredible season for me to think that he's going to do that. But you can tell he's enjoying his time at BYU so far. And the nice part is he's already made an impact both on and off the field. And that is exactly what you want to see from transfers like him into this football program. All right, coming up here in just a minute, we'll finish out today's show with a guy that is stuck at offensive tackle. Can he realize his dream of being a high-level tackle for BYU this season? Caleb Etienne explains that and talks about a whole lot more. We'll get to that as we roll on right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Monopoly Go. I've been told I'm a competitive person. I think all of us would say that about ourselves, but the best part is if you want to have some fun with that competitive side, you can do it with our friends over at Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of the game. It's been downloaded over 150 million times, so a lot of people are already playing it, but it's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. The best part is you can have fun and screw with your friends along during the game as well. You charge them run on your iconic properties just like classic Monopoly, but you also can heist their vaults of the riches for yourself. You also can check out the leaderboard to see who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is, both to celebrate and also to target who you may be going after next. But it's not just the competitive side that loves it. You can team up with your friends and people all around the world in time tournaments that help you earn huge rewards as well. So get in the game and join your friends today. Download Monopoly Go free on the App Store or Google Play. Once again, that's Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Appreciate all of you for being everydayers with us here on the podcast. If you've not done so already, please join our Locked On Cougars Insider group. It's a great way to interact with the show. You get updates from me in real time via text messages that send directly to your phone. 14-day free trial, just $5 a month afterwards to be a part of it. And if you want that inside intel you can't find anywhere else, join us on the Locked On Cougars Insider group. Links are in the show notes below, whether you're watching and or listening to this podcast. All right, Caleb Etienne, a guy that I think was much maligned last year for some less than stellar offensive line play. Now, he has shed a ton of weight. You're going to see it in the video if you're watching this on YouTube that he is looking pretty skinny. We recorded this during spring camp, and you're going to hear a little bit of a difference in the audio about halfway through this. I'm not sure what happened, whether somebody walked by with some interference that knocked my mobile mic offline. But the nice part is the onboard mic on my phone that I was recording this on actually picked up the conversation. It just may not necessarily be as high quality as you're accustomed to with the podcast. It's not to say it's unintelligible, because I've listened back to it multiple times, and it is very much, you can tell exactly what Caleb's saying. I'm just saying you're going to hear a little bit of a difference first half of the interview versus the back half. But without further ado, Caleb Etienne talking about sticking at offensive tackle and what he hopes to accomplish at BYU this fall.
Last season, you talked about the fact that transition to guard was something you were looking forward to doing. Well, since spring began, we've seen you at tackle. What's the difference? They say, hey, you're staying at tackle. What was the decision?
Really just, we had some guys, go to the draft this year. So, they had room for me, to go back to, left tackle and play where I used to play at. When I was at Oklahoma State, I used to play left tackle. So, I'm back at left tackle. Last year, I did play a little bit of guard, rotating, getting some reps, just, fitting in for spots, for people who was probably injured. Yeah. But, yeah, I'm at left tackle now, and I've been rolling there since, so I'm excited.
Does it feel pretty naturally back at that spot? Because you did start with 13 games with OSU, right?
Yeah, it feels better. Like last year I played right tackle. It was a little adjustment for me to play at right tackle a little bit, and then it feel like it was just it was like back at day one. It wasn't nothing hard for me to pick it back up. It was left tackle. It was just feel like it was the same thing. So I'm happy that I'm back at left tackle. I'm move more better. Feel better, feel comfortable, so I'm feeling good.
You and I were talking before I pushed record, but you're talking about the fact that you've lost some weight and everything. Was that an emphasis you made in the offseason to get it, just drop some weight?
Kind of, yeah. I really did, because coming into college, I was 380, 390, so it's I always wanted to stay under that. I didn't want to go back up there. Never wanted to. I can't. It was bad weight, so I had to make a choice of whether where I want to play at, what weight I feel comfortable playing at. And right now I'm at 315, 320ish, and I'm feeling good, moving good. So I've been just maintaining and just lifting weights with the strength coaches. They've been getting us right. So yeah.
You've dropped 75 pounds since you got into college?
Yeah, I lost a lot of weight coming out of JUCO. I was just eating and just eating. It was too much fun at JUCO. So you didn't really have a real nutritionist. You didn't have nobody telling you what to eat. So you just do whatever. So.
What's it been like year two in this offense so far in your mind?
I feel like the offense now is just it's lovely. Our philosophy, how the way we're doing, the scheme is way better. I feel like it just feels more comfortable for the line itself, and everybody else just feels like it's picking up faster. I feel like it's better.
Now, from my observations, I've seen you work mainly alongside Waylon at that left guard spot. Do you feel like you've got a pretty good relationship with him so far? And I guess obviously by comparison, same thing with Connor Pay.
Yeah, I feel like those guys, they have a lot of experience too as well, just like me. So they know, hey, we gotta do the play and protect the quarterback. So I feel comfortable with them. They feel comfortable with me, and we just going out there doing our job, playing the best as we can. So yeah.
What's it like working with Coach Woods?
Coach Wood, he's a great coach. Came in just not too long ago. He's a great coach. He's gonna work you. He's gonna coach you. He's gonna love on you. He's gonna make sure you're doing everything right. But I mean, at the end of the day, we playing for ourselves, and he's gonna give us the tools. We just gotta go out there and use them. So,
what else are you looking forward to doing here in spring?
Really just making sure, hey, the whole O-line, we all know what's our main goal going into, the summer and then to the season. Just rallying up all our guys in the O-line, making sure that we're strong than from last year, and just having a physical mindset, really, and just dominating the upcoming season.
Well, Caleb, thanks so much for some time.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
There you go, Caleb Etienne, BYU offensive lineman, and I am wishing nothing but the best for Caleb. What I saw in spring ball / what I have heard about him is he looks very much a different offensive lineman for BYU. Does that mean he's going to be the standout that BYU hoped they were getting when he came over from Oklahoma State? That remains to be determined, but you can tell that he's worked on his body. He's leaner, he's moving easier, and the hope is that with TJ Woods coaching him up a little harder than what had been happening previously, that he will realize his potential and could end up maybe as BYU starting left tackle this year. That'd be an incredible thing. Think about a guy that was near unplayable at points last season for BYU, could end up starting at left tackle for BYU this season, but kind of shows you the value of having good coaching around a guy like that. And that's the positive if you're a Cougar fan. Now, for those of you who are going to scream at me, well, why did they hire this Daryl Funk if they couldn't get good coaching? Folks, I can't answer that for the life of me. I don't make those decisions. Those decisions were made at a level that I will never get to, and that's at the head coaching / administration level at BYU and inside the BYU athletic department. I don't know what went into that, but I can tell you this much. BYU now has the money to go out and get high-level assistants, and they believe that TJ Woods and Kevin Gilbride, the two assistants they added this offseason, they are the type of assistants that BYU could only dream of landing previous to this. There's a big reason why BYU is paying more money to guys like Kevin Young in the basketball field, why they're going out and getting high-level assistants like TJ Woods and Kevin Gilbride in football. Big 12 money, Big 12 status, it absolutely matters, and BYU finally has it. They have the money in the coffers, they have the distinction of being a Big 12 / Power 4 program, and they are benefiting thereby because of the guys that are interested in positions at BYU and the fact that BYU finally can pay competitive market rate salaries to these coaches. So if it was just a money issue, maybe that's what it was for BYU. But the nice part is, going back to the Caleb Etienne discussion, it sounds like the coaching is going to benefit him in a large way. And the hope is that coaching will yield BYU a starting caliber offensive lineman that will no longer be that quote unquote hiss and a byword. And instead will be a guy that BYU fans are proud to root for out there at their one of the two offensive tackle positions. All right, that is going to do it. Once again, I will be back on Monday, late Monday, recording a NFL draft recap show and any other intel I hear over the weekend. I might do some locked on updates in terms of short form stuff via social media if things are breaking over the weekend while I am out of town. The nice part is I'm not going too far. I'm just in southern Utah, but we'll update you as need be here on the podcast. And obviously, a big thank you to all of you for your support of the podcast as always. Thank you for being everydayers with us. Obviously, a big thank you, as we always say, for making it your first listen of the day. And have a great weekend, my friends. I'll be back with you guys again soon, right here on Locked On Cougars.